NVIDIA launching 3080 supercards. Maybe. We'll talk about it today. Bring your entire setup together with iCUE from Corsair. Customize lighting effects by choosing from a vast selection of presets, or create your own using custom lighting features allowing you to synchronize your battle station to your own taste and style. iCUE also allows for full system monitoring and control, including fan speeds, lighting, and more, all from a single interface. To see all that iCUE from Corsair has to offer, follow the sponsored link in the description below. So in today's episode of Jay's Inbox is blowing up with people asking me, have I seen XYZ? We're going to talk about apparently HP leaking the 3080 Super SKU supposedly coming out from NVIDIA now, I guess. There's a lot to talk about here. We're going to talk about whether or not I think the rumor's true, whether or not, if it is true, when it's going to happen, and whether or not it is or isn't a good idea. This is like the third or fourth time we've done this type of video throughout the entire 30 series, because the 30 series clearly has been a just completely unprecedented type of launch that's just been plagued with so many things, making people frustrated, making people even unsubscribe from tech channels because they just cannot complete their builds and stuff. So let's go ahead and talk about the potential leak here. So HP had put up a link to one of their all-in-one computers, which is interesting that they call it all-in-one. But anyway, to all their all-in-one computers that talked about or showed specifically listed out a 3080 Super. Now, the interesting thing regarding that is an all-in-one computer from HP is typically just laptop guts that are thrown into a monitor to be called an all-in-one. So that kind of sparks some of the leak potential of this actually being a 3080 Super Max Q or laptop edition GPU. Something that people have, it's not the first time we've seen this. To understand what's going to happen in the future and to try and be able to predict, you have to look at the past, because history repeats itself. Companies like NVIDIA are very episodic in the sense that they do the same thing over and over and over. Usually the only thing that changes is like the timing of certain things. It's not that unreal or unlikely or unrealistic that they would come out with a 3080 Super version of their laptop GPUs, because they don't have anything higher than that. And as we've shown, it really only lands around a 3060 Ti, between a 3060 Ti and a 3070 in terms of performance. So it's not really a 3080 to begin with. But desktop GPU variants, rumors have been swirling about supercards since 8-9 months ago. I mean, only a couple months into the generation. In fact, rumors were talking about a supercard the day the 3080 launched because of that mysterious 20G SKU. We actually do know now, going forward, that there is a 20 gig variant 3080 Ti, which is what is apparently extremely rare, but they do exist. I've seen some content creators actually reaching out to the public asking if you've got one, can we borrow it, because we want to benchmark it, yada, yada, yada. It's not that unreasonable that the 3080 Super could be in the works. But what's interesting about this is apparently the rumor goes deeper to say 3060 Super, 3070 Super, 3080 Super, and 3090 Super. So the 3090 Super would be interesting. It's rumored to be over 10,700 CUDA cores. Just add 256 to what the 3090 has, and that's what it is. But it really only makes it about 2.5% or so more CUDA cores than the 3090. Same thing for the 3080, all running off the same GA104 core, which begs the question of, would NVIDIA actually launch a super variant to all of their cards right now? Could they? Yes, absolutely. This is a 2080 Super right here. This actually came out after the Ti. And just like we're seeing with the 30 series cards in terms of the naming potential and where they kind of slot in and when they slot in, we had the 2080 launch. And then we had the 2080 Ti. And then we had the 2080 Super that fell in between. So it wasn't all that odd for a rumor to start cropping up about a Super Series card. In fact, the rumors usually start up early because a lot of the publications want to try and get in on the early views, the early clicks, or early clickbait even, to try and get as many people just to their articles to read fluff about something that might actually have one or two lines of even somewhat credible sources saying this is what's coming. I can tell you right now, this entire family of graphics cards has been flipped upside down in the sense of timing has moved, launch dates have moved, cards that were supposed to come have been scrapped, and cards that were supposed to be re-released have been scrapped. Specifically talking about the 2060. The 2060, and I believe the 2060 Super, and possibly even the 2060 Ti, were supposed to relaunch. And there were a lot of rumors about that, and that was actually confirmed by NVIDIA. I'm not gonna say who, but someone in NVIDIA did tell me that was absolutely on the table and going to happen. But it's pretty obvious that that was kind of a disconnected thought for NVIDIA to think that they could relaunch a 20 series card, because it's not like TSMC, who already doesn't have enough resources to keep up with their own customer demand could suddenly have NVIDIA say, hey, can you go ahead and fire up the Forge and knock a few of these out? I mean, if I were TSMC, I'd probably laugh my way all the way back to my office and tell NVIDIA to go pound sand. Hey, we can't meet our current customer demand. You think we can turn on our processes just to suddenly go back for you guys? That's not going to happen. That's why it never happened. I mean, it makes sense on the surface that NVIDIA was like, well, hey, why don't we just get TSMC to manufacture some stuff for us like we've had them doing, and Samsung continue to manufacture 30 series for us on our 8nm process and just continue to pump out from both forges. I keep saying forge, but factories. Well, clearly that didn't happen. But I can tell you that a lot of the dates that we saw and things that did launch did push back. And a lot of the reasons for that was because they were trying to get as much stock built up as they could prior to getting the launch date so that they have a better chance of people being able to actually acquire these cards on launch date. But the problem is with the efficiency and proficiency of scalpers, which, look, scalpers have been doing this for long before graphics cards. This is the first time we've really dealt with them in our space. They've done this with concert tickets for decades. They've done this with sneakers. They've done this with anything that's considered limited edition or hard to get. They're profiteers. They're good at it. They have entire networks. They're not going away as long as the short supply is here. But the dates have pushed back to try and get more supply in the supply chain. That way more people have a chance to buy it. Which is why I don't personally believe a 3080 Super or any Super series or version of the card is coming anytime soon. Because let me paint a picture for you here. If it comes down to the logic, and if NVIDIA did launch a 30 series card anytime soon, that would show just a complete, absolute disconnect from reality in the current situation. And NVIDIA is not this stupid. They obviously know what's happening. Jensen himself has talked about the fact that this shortage is gonna last through 2022, because I'm sure that's what Samsung's telling them as well. Let's say you're one of those people that have been sitting in the EVGA queue or the Newegg Shuffle or whatever for a year. I think the EVGA queue is longer than NVIDIA Shuffle's been around. But let's just say hypothetically, you've been in the queue for a year waiting for the 3080, which for some reason, I mean, the 3080 is actually hardest to get your hands on because it's the most desired card. The 3080 Ti, the 3090, very expensive, so less demand for those, but less products, so perceived just as hard to get. 3070 and below, again, a lot of people waiting on those, but 3080 itself is the SKU that everybody wants. So it's got the longest queue. A new card comes out, a 3080 Super, and it's over here, and you're in the queue for this card. These companies that do these queue systems don't allow you to bounce around the queue. So what's gonna happen is you're gonna enter a new queue for this card, and you're gonna be way back maybe at the beginning of the line, but way back at the end of the line because you've potentially moved up here. And yeah, the 3080, unfortunately, with like EVGA is taking that long to be fulfilled because it's so damn popular. I would be a little pissed that they chose to bring out a new card and a new SKU with nothing more than 2.5% more CUDA cores, triggering a new product that everyone now has to jump in line for to try and get, rather than taking those cores, scrapping the Supers for now, and for trying to fulfill as many orders as possible for an existing product you can't even supply enough of. If you can't supply enough of a product, it makes zero sense to bring out another product that is slightly different, but clearly a different product that would be handled and sold and skewed and queued completely independent from the one you're already waiting on. So if NVIDIA wants to truly prove that they care about the consumers, Super should not come out as long as products are unable to make their way to shelves at a reasonable price. Products are on shelves today. There are products that you can find. They're just through the roof. Like I was on Newegg earlier today, and there are 3080s in stock at about $2,700 USD, brand new from Newegg. Mostly marketplace sellers, but still. The Gundam card was $3,049, that same one that we showed. That's stupid. Absolutely nobody should ever buy a 3080 for $3,000. It's not worth it, I don't care how rich you are. People are still gonna buy it, which is why the price stays up, so I digress. That's why I do not believe that NVIDIA is gonna launch a 3080, 3090, 3070, 3060 Super card anytime in the near future. I don't think before the end of this year would we see that, and I think if they were smart, they wouldn't launch it at all this particular family. You've already got your Ti variants of all the cards. except for the 90. But you got your 3060 Ti, your 3070, and your 3080 Ti. You've got your Ti's. You launched your main cards, and then you got your Ti variants already out there, which kind of triggered this same type of video for me, saying it felt like just completely having a complete disconnect from reality and coming out with these cards. It looked like a cash grab. It looked like a way to make them more expensive. Let's face it, everyone is profiting majorly off of this particular scenario. It sucks. Supply and demand goes up. TSMC has raised their prices. I'm sure Samsung's raised their prices. Prices across the board go up. That's passed on to the consumer. The consumer is the one that pays for those increased rates. So I don't think one is going to come out. Do I think that HP actually accidentally leaked a 3080 Super? I don't personally think so. I definitely don't think they leaked a desktop SKU, because of the fact that, again, the SKU that was specifically shown and everyone on Reddit is like blown up about and just kicked this whole 30 series Super back into the the limelight and guarding the rumor mill, because this is not new rumors, guys. This is months and months. You could find rumors about 30 series Super cards 9 months ago. But I don't think that's the case, because of the fact that it specifically was an all-in-one SKU, which we know all-in-ones do not have discrete graphics cards like this, especially from HP. They are laptop guts put into a case to make it an all-in-one. Do I think that they might have potentially leaked a laptop SKU? I think that's entirely plausible. I think that's something that it could be coming. I think it's something we've seen in the past. We've seen the super versions of the laptop GPUs, and I think that's exactly what it could be coming, because it's a different core than what they're working with here on the desktop stuff. Do I know if the laptop silicon takes away from the desktop productivity the amount that they can produce? I don't know. They're a lot smaller. We know that. Their requirements and their yields are a lot higher, meaning that you can make more of those per wafer than you can, say, desktop GPUs. And if those are binned in such a manner that they don't, because we all know the laptop stuff doesn't go as high on the frequency as the desktop stuff. It has shared system memory and whatnot. So it's, well, not all the time, but anyway, I digress. You can make a lot more of those for the same amount you can for a single GPU over here. So if those are the rejects for the desktops, might as well go ahead and use them over there, right? But I just wanted to go ahead and make this video because I was asked a ton about whether or not I thought 30 series Super was coming out, and people were irate and very upset, rightfully so, because again, let's paint this picture one more time. You've been sitting in the queue for a year for a 3080. And I asked DVG, I said, I see people all the time complaining they've been in queue for a year, since last September, and they still haven't gotten their card. Is that realistic? Do these people maybe miss their email? And he said, no, that's absolutely realistic because of the demand. It is so long. Imagine a 3080 Super comes out and they start a new queue. And some guy just happened to be getting online at the right moment, at the right time, and get in the queue and gets it on day one. Because remember, the queue is by like minute. That's how backed up the queue is. They're like, okay, September, this is how, just throwing it out there, but like September 30th, 9:32 a.m., your queue just launched, and it's like a year ago, right? But let's just say random Joe number 2 happens to get in line just at the right time, and he walks out with a 3080 Super that he waited for all of a day. You've been waiting there a year because NVIDIA chose to make a new SKU instead of fulfilling as many of the existing products that can't be kept in stock to make that. That's why I don't think they're gonna do it. I think even with the ego that NVIDIA has, I don't think even they can stoop to that level. I hope not. I hope I'm wrong. Trust me on that. I'm not advocating for NVIDIA on this one. I am praying for NVIDIA on this one. For the love of God, even if you don't believe it, fake it till you make it that you care, and don't make the super SKUs. Anyway, guys, again, this video is a response to the amount of people ask me if I saw the leaks. Do I know anything? No, I don't know anything. This is all speculatory. I have not talked to NVIDIA in a long time. They don't like people like me right now for obvious reasons. So I probably won't hear from them, and I don't know how long. So anyway, what do you guys think? Do you think a 3080 Super desktop is coming, 3090 Super, or do you think that those were a leaked laptop SKU? Thanks for watching, guys, and as always, we'll see you in the next one.